From Moraine Lake in Alberta, Canada.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
Coming up this week, the ridiculous speeds and power outputs of the Tour de France are laid bare with our deep dive into riders' Strava data from the first two flat stages of the race. I actually can't quite believe it.
I know you can't. I've also got news from the Women's Tour of Italy, a whole load of hot new tech, how US champ Quinn Simmons' epic mullet could be the answer to cycling safety, and news of two ultra-endurance efforts. This week in the world of cycling, we learned what it takes to stay safe at the Tour de France. Mad skills.
Yeah, with a Z or a Z. This is Caden Groves avoiding near certain annihilation with a very neat stoppie.
Fair play.
Yeah.
That was skills.
No, it was, yeah.
Double fair play to him because less than 4Ks later, this is him delivering his teammate for the win.
Cheating death and helping your mate win a stage of the Tour. Not bad for 5 minutes work. And now we also learned that while we thought that a new wheel size would be the debate for the next 10 years, it turns out that lots of you still aren't done debating Lance Armstrong. That was the dominant thread in the comment section under last week's show.
Yeah. Basically, the headline is, Lance Armstrong, more controversial than tubeless.
Yeah. It said something in that. Now, finally, we learned that the speeds at the opening weekend of the Tour de France were off the charts ridiculous.
Which perhaps should come as no surprise because these are the best riders in the world competing at the biggest race in the world. But nevertheless, even as ex-pros, we mentioned this before? Even as ex-pros, the numbers are quite mind-boggling to us as well.
Yeah. Below average ex-pro, certainly here. But still, my mind is boggled. If we start with stage one, a pretty flat stage with a threat of crosswinds throughout, the overall average speed for the 185 kilometres was 47.6 k an hour, which is just a shade under 30 miles per hour. But it's when you dig into the details that things get really interesting.
Yeah, so Visma Lease Bike and their team leader, Jonas Vingegaard, you heard this right, split things in the crosswinds with just under 18 kilometres remaining. Before we get to that point, let's take a look at the speeds going into the crucial corner with 18 Ks to go.
Okay, so the sprint to get to that corner started after a roundabout. Setting the scene here, aren't we? They flew through that at 50 k an hour.
Through the roundabout.
That's not bad, but halfway between there and the right-hander, Pogacar hit 69.8 k's an hour, which is 43.6 miles per hour. Now, we've got a video coming up soon explaining all you need to know about crosswinds, but positioning is the most crucial aspect. If you're not at the front, you stand no chance of getting into the front echelon, that's the front group. Hence, the warp speed sprint ahead of that corner.
Through that corner itself, he was still holding 45 kilometres per hour, or is that a real snail's pace, actually,
Rubbish.
compared to the rest. And then soon after that, of course, those of you that are watching will know that that's where Jonas Vingegaard went.
Yeah, all 58 kilos of him.
All 58 kilos,
Like a watt bomb.
And then for the following 2.5 kilometres, the front group that he and Pogacar et al. Were in averaged 61.5 kilometres per hour, which is 38 miles per hour, to establish the gap over those behind them. And that was on a completely flat road with a crosswind. Next time you're descending on your bike, just see what it feels like to reach that kind of speed. I mean, sustaining it on a flat road is just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, genuinely, I can't quite comprehend it. Mad. Now, the speed did drop after that, but not significantly. So for those final 20 kilometres, the average speed of the front group was 55.5 kilometres per hour, even with multiple corners, even with a group that wasn't always cohesive, it wasn't always working together. That is a remarkable speed.
It is, yeah. Now, in terms of the speeds at the finish, unfortunately, the top three on the day did not upload to Strava, but Pascal Ackermann did. He actually kicked early, I think, hoping to surprise the other sprinters, and in doing that, he reached a peak speed of just over 72 kilometres an hour. He finished 19th.
Oh my goodness me, 72 k's an hour.
After all of that.
Yeah, mind blown. Now, what about the power then? Well, a lot of riders are hiding it from their Strava uploads now. just in case people like us want to try and replicate it. But another reason to love Jonas Abrahamsson is that he doesn't. Thank you, Jonas. So the Uno X rider, you'll remember, broke his collarbone just over 2 weeks before the start of this race. But not only did he manage to start, he made it into the front echelon as well.
Unbelievable, that ride. So his power over that final 20 Ks was 345 watts average, which is not excessively high for an 80 kilogram rider, but it was far from steady, as is the nature of crosswinds. There was a lot of times when he wasn't pedalling at all, but equally, over 5 occasions in the first 4 minutes when the group split off the front, he hit over 650 watts.
Ooh. Now, out of one of the roundabouts, he held 800 watts for 20 seconds with a max of 1,000 watts. Now, that is the sort of effort that would kill most people, let alone coming after 4 hours of exceedingly stressful racing and still with 15 kilometres of full gas racing to go. You know, like, it would kill most people, but also most people just couldn't do it.
There is that point as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, should we get on to stage 2?
Yeah.
Which had a much different, more hilly profile. A longer stage of this year's race, actually, at 209 kilometres. They had to deal with quite a lot of rain at the start, plus high winds, and then 3 short but very punchy climbs over the last 30 kilometres of the stage.
Yeah, so for this one, we've taken a look at Kevin Vacquelin's file. He was one of the main animators of the race, attacking more than anyone else, and handily, he uploaded his ride with his power.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yes.
So there was 600 metres of elevation gain in that period, the last 30 Ks for context. But let's look at his power over the climbs themselves, bearing in mind that he weighs around about 68 kilograms.
Okay, so for the final 30 kilometres, basically from the foot of the first major climb over the final 2 climbs after that, and then up to the finish at Boulogne-sur-Mer, he and the rest of the front group averaged 47.4 k an hour, which is, again, just under 30 miles per hour.
So on the Côte du Haut-Pichot, he did 510 watts for 2 minutes 53. Then on the Côte de Saint-Étienne-au-Mont, he averaged 545 watts for 2 minutes 44, which is enough to see him just about on the coattails of the lead group, which contained the likes of Pogačar, Vingegaard, Evenepoel and Van der Poel. Not a bad group to be in, is
Not
it?
bad, yeah.
Fellow Frenchman, meanwhile, Axel Laurence of Ineos, took 5 seconds more to cover that climb, but he had a whopping average power of 574 watts.
Wow. And then on the final classified climb, the Monte Rue de Ave, he averaged, do you think I got that right?
Pretty spot on.
Almost certain, yeah. He averaged 478 watts for 2 minutes 12 seconds. However, he attacked towards the top of it, averaging 750 watts for 20 seconds with a peak of 950 watts.
And a reminder, that came after 200 kilometres of racing. Then for the final minute of the race in the uphill sprint line, after all of his attacks, all those climbs, he averaged 520 watts with a max of 835.
Right, now we've thrown a lot of data out at you there. Any of you who've ever used a power meter, I think will understand just how phenomenal those numbers are.
And if you haven't, you can just trust us on this occasion. Even though they're paid to go as fast as they can, even though their lives are dedicated to riding as fast as they can, the standard right now is off the charts.
It is off the charts, and they've still got 3 weeks to go.
I'd almost forgotten that bit. It's crazy, isn't it? We should also point out that Pogačar has barely got out of the saddle on any of these climbs. It already looks like he's cruising.
I reckon there's a video in that, mate. Why he doesn't get out of the saddle on climbs?
Yes. Right, let us know your thoughts on this subject then. Do these numbers blow your mind? Or do you think it's just a part of their job?
Yeah, and they should even be faster.
Yeah.
No, let us know in the comments section down below.
You know, a little bit earlier, I was looking back at my peak speeds during my career, which is quite some time ago.
Oh, yeah, Dan, yeah, do tell us.
Yeah. Well, you might remember that I found a point where I did 5 miles at an average speed of 135 k's an hour.
I do. They did say that cycling was faster back then, didn't they?
Then we realised it was a problem with the GPS, so I didn't actually do that. But I found another one. So Tour of Qatar, Stage 3, 2009, we averaged 53.2 kilometres per hour.
Really? I mean, because nothing was aero back then, was it?
What do you mean? I was on the Cervelo test team, wasn't I? Everything was aero in that team, proper aero.
First reference you've made to the Cervelo test team for a couple of days now?
Yeah, it's got to be days by this point.
It was flat with a tailwind though, wasn't it, that day?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And now it's time for cycling shorts.
Quick news flash. After we recorded this week's GCN show, Jasper Philipsen was involved in a nasty crash coming into the intermediate sprint on stage 3. It appears Brion Coquard and one of the lead-out riders from Intermarché clashed, and whilst they both stayed upright, Philipsen had nowhere to go and hit the deck hard. Bad enough for him to leave the race there and then. Don't have any details yet on his injuries, but we of course wish him a speedy recovery.
Cycling shorts now, and we're going to start with the women's Giro d'Italia, which still suffers from its long-running and always baffling calendar clash with the men's Tour de France.
Some of the biggest name riders are missing in order to better prepare for the upcoming Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift, but our eyes are particularly on 2 veterans. First up, Marianne Vos. She's looking for her 33rd stage win, and then Anna van der Breggen, who you'll remember came out of retirement this year and is looking for her 5th overall victory, which, if she managed it, would come 10 years after her first.
That's not bad, is it? She's got some strong competition in the form of Elisa Longo Borghini, though, last year's winner. So yeah, we're watching that one unfold, weren't we?
Yeah, Marlon Royce is absolutely flying based on the prologue or first time trial, isn't she?
Indeed. Right, now a little bit of tech for you now from the men's Tour de France. Dan was out there last week. You can check out a full video over on GCN Tech. Plus there's another one coming tomorrow, right?
There is, yeah. It was a busy bee out there, Si. So loads of really interesting bikes, not least that all of them will be illegal next year due to falling foul of the new handlebar rule, or rather the brake levers not being quite far enough apart aspect of that new UCI rule.
Yeah, a nuanced distinction there, we should say.
Yes, quite. Highlights to keep an eye out for on the tech video are Matteo Jorgensen's new Cervelo R5, which comes in at just 7 kilograms, even in the very large size that he uses. Plus Pogacar's new Envy wheels, which are narrower.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Bucking the trend.
I know. In part, actually, so you can use lighter, narrower tyres for the hilly days, but they've forsaken carbon spokes in spite of the weight savings because, from what they told me, they're not as aero.
Again, it's quite nuanced
Indeed
features going on there, aren't they?
Meanwhile, Selle Italia launched the 4th generation of their SLR saddle last week as well.
I got one here, mate.
Got it with him. Slightly shorter, with more compliance built into the rails and a simpler naming system as well.
That's right. Now, what's also really cool is that they've tweaked the shape of the saddle ever so slightly based on data from 100,000 bike fits from their ID match system, which includes pressure mapping data from their previous saddles.
Cool, isn't it? They reckon their new 3D printed version is now the lightest 3D printed saddle on the market. Interesting to see it in comparison to the first version SLR that Si's got now, isn't it?
Yeah, funny you say that, Dan. Yeah, look at the size difference.
Oh, it's quite substantially different, isn't
It
it?
is substantially different, yeah. Anyway, we'll be doing a bit of a deep dive into retro versus modern using pressure mapping software in the coming weeks, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Also at the tour, Dan, you found Specialized Roval reverse mullet wheels, didn't they? Which are deeper in the front than the back.
Yeah, they've got 3 new wheel sets, actually, which I saw with Primoz Roglic and Bora Hansgrohe. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, should I say. That concept, though, makes sense, but also feels like cycling's version of an optical illusion. Really,
Does a bit, really, yeah.
Speaking of mullets, do you think the UCI are going to sanction US champion Quinn Simmons?
Well, probably not. I've heard that while the style might be bringing the sport into disrepute, rumour is this additional turbulence that's caused by his mullet actually serves the purpose of slowing him down.
Oh, does it?
So yeah, potentially the UCI's Safer Commission are actually considering making mullets compulsory for all riders
Imagine
from
that.
2026.
That would be absolutely amazing. Handlebar tashes too.
Absolutely. You can't make them compulsory because that's discriminatory.
No.
I can't grow one.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, like, that would be unfortunate.
Just the mullet then.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, moving on.
I could grow a good mullet.
Can you? I've never seen that. It's quite short at the moment.
It is, yeah. I mean, I don't want a mullet, but I can grow a good one.
I don't want you to grow a mullet, I was going to say. Moving on, I'd have a chuckle at how hard Canyon's custom paint job must be working this year. So Jasper Philipsen and Mathieu van der Poel both had custom paint jobs for the Tour de France. Philipsen rode his once, then swapped it for a yellow one on stage 2, and now a green one for stage 3. Van der Poel, meanwhile, had a white one, but he's now got a yellow one.
Yes, one of those guys should go for the Mountains jersey, shouldn't they? Just for, like, shits and giggles.
They should. Sticking with gorgeous bikes now, in what now seems to be a regular section of the show, it's time for Luxury Bike of the Week.
That needs a jingle, doesn't it?
Should do, shouldn't it, really?
Yeah. This week, Pinarello have announced that they have a super limited edition run of just 50 Dogma Fs that they're calling the Dogma F 1K.
It's stunning, isn't it?
Oh,
that
goodness
green,
me.
iridescent paint. It's got matching ceramic speeds, oversized derailleur cage, Princeton wheels, and even an SRM crankset for good measure.
Yeah, yours for just €25,000.
Ooh, I'd start saving up with a limited edition.
Yeah,
Too long.
£21,000. So that sounds better, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. Still not doable. Right, back to some riding now. We've got to give a shout out to Molly Weaver, who's just broken the record for the fastest circumnavigation of the UK by bike, taking 17 hours off the 41-year-old record, which was previously set by Nick Sanders.
It took her 21 days, 10 hours and 17 minutes to trace the fairly tortuous 7,700 kilometre outline of Scotland, Wales and England. Fittingly, considering that she was riding on the coast, she was also raising money for the Royal National Lifeboat Institution.
Fantastic. Well done, Molly. Another person attempting a bonkers ultra-endurance feat is Amy Hudson, aka Amy Cycling Adventures. She's a third of the way through her attempt to ride the route of the Tour plus transfers, which is a distance of 6,600 kilometres in just 30 days.
That's pretty punchy as well, isn't it?
Really punchy, yeah.
Yeah. Now, lastly, some good news, we think, because it is always hard to decipher the pros and cons of US political news, but the recent proposal in the US Senate to sell off 1.2 million acres of public lands has apparently been withdrawn.
Various outdoor groups have been lobbying against this proposal because public lands are a hugely valuable resource for recreation, and they praise the effort of millions of Americans who raise their concerns with local politicians and have temporarily, at least, safeguarded many miles of gravel and mountain bike trails.
Did you know, Dan, that 87% of England is privately owned?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, isn't it? Whereas in the USA, it's only 60%. That's according to my brief Google search.
I mean, that does account for quite a lot more land than the 87%.
It does, yeah. Also,
more facts?
More facts, yeah. Alaska is 95% public lands.
Is it?
Very high, isn't it? Whereas Rhode Island is only 1.5% public lands.
Blimey.
Which, I mean, is a lot smaller, right? And more densely populated. But Texas, meanwhile, in spite of its size, is comprised of only 4.5% public lands.
Shall we move on?
Yes, let's move on. Although, we're going to stick with political hot potatoes, shall we? I know. In the UK, LTNs, or low traffic neighbourhoods, are about as controversial as it gets.
In excess of tubeless or even Lance Armstrong. Probably.
Yeah.
We should probably disable comments underneath this video for this week, I reckon.
Probably should, yeah.
I know, people have literally been burning things on the streets about this subject.
Yeah, they have, yeah. And what is the controversy, or what even is an LTN, first of all, I suppose? Effectively, they're bollards, aren't they, that stop cars from driving through certain residential streets. The idea being that it makes neighbourhoods quieter, safer, cleaner by making sure that more cars go onto main roads.
You might be able to guess the sticking point here, but it's basically because it's making life harder for drivers.
Yes. Yeah.
So, to a certain extent, this new piece of news will land on deaf ears, but analysis of London's 113 LTNs over 10 years showed a 35% reduction in injuries and 37% reduction in deaths or serious injuries. 10 of the LTNs have subsequently been removed.
Lots of people burning stuff, basically.
Which statistically is going to cause 16 deaths or serious injuries as a result.
I mean, that's pretty significant, isn't it, really? Yeah. Anyway, we'll leave that now and move on to safer ground. 3D printing and zip ties.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Next up, hack/bodge of the week. First up this week, this one from Michael Novo. While gardening, I managed to snag my Garmin Forerunner 955 on a branch, partially slicing through the watch band and leaving it flapping around my wrist. I took it off and ordered a replacement, but I still wanted to track my sleep that night. Enter an old TPU tube I had lying around. I figured why not give it a go as a makeshift watch band. The assembly process worked surprisingly well until I tried to make a hole for the tang buckle. The tube was ridiculously tough to poke through. After a frustrating few minutes, I resorted to a knife, which finally got the job done. While I didn't trust it enough to hold in place for that day's group ride, it held up perfectly around the house and tracked my sleep that evening.
My word. I mean, I don't really know what to say with that.
Do you want to describe it for podcast listeners?
Okay, so it is a watch, half of which the strap has been replaced by a pink I mean, it looks like a pink latex strap, basically, and it's particularly offensive looking.
It doesn't, yeah. I mean, we can't possibly either of us give a hack for this, surely, just based on looks.
Well, also, based on the fact that I still wanted to track my sleep that night, just in case if you didn't track it that night, something awful might happen and you wouldn't know what to do yourself the next day. I mean, I know you're a massive fan of sleep data.
Yeah.
I can live without it, if I'm honest.
I think I could probably live without it.
Oh, really?
But I don't think I'd go to that level to keep sleep data for one night.
No. Okay. I tell you what, though, that's some epic gardening to slice through a watch brand. What were you doing? Chainsaw, maybe? That kind of gardening? Anyway, so we're going to say Bodge, aren't we?
Yeah, Bodge, sorry.
Yeah, heinous. Sorry, Michael. Next up, Dan Wilkin has said, a tiny shed, too many bikes hack. Okay. Our garden shed struggled with 2 mountain bikes and 2 kids' bikes. So when I took up road cycling, I was told there was no way I could store the bike on the wall in the lounge. I needed to find a solution. Enter the coat hanger. The nose of the seat hooks over a crossbeam and a bent wire coat hanger supports the bars. Hey presto, 2-story bike storage.
I think this is great.
This is really good. So on the floor of the shed, you've got the normal bikes, and then elevated above them, in pride of place, we should say, is a very nice looking carbon road bike with carbon wheels. I mean, I feel like that is highly appropriate.
Yeah, well, I think that's definitely a hack from me.
Definitely
You know
a hack from
I
me.
reckon that bike would look quite nice hung on the wall in the lounge.
I think it would. Yeah. Dan, maybe you should to sort of take that back to your partner. I'm assuming it's your partner who has told you there's no way you could store the bike on the wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then
play
see
this
whether...
part of the show out, Dan, and let us know how you get on.
But yeah, I mean, that is basically art, isn't it? In bicycle form.
This one came from Ben Evans. Better seat pack placement. Currently riding from Norway to Greece on my standard Canyon Grizzle. Very jealous of the new one with that power system. The Canyon seat post is split to give you a bit of flex for improved comfort. Normally you attach your seat back just under the saddle, just ask Connor, but with my fully loaded seat up, there's not much support and it affected the flex of the seat tube. So I now rest it on the rear triangle and all the weight isn't hanging off the saddle and putting pressure on the straps. Much more stable, plus no more wobbling. Simply lovely. And I know Si is going to ask if your legs rub, so before you even get to the chance, no, they don't.
I am concerned with leg rubbing, it's got to be said. My legs would be rubbing on your frame bag, actually. I don't get on with those massive frame bags.
Which part of your legs?
My knees, actually, not my ankles. So I think they're wicked, those frame bags. I think they look amazing, but for me, my knees are too close to the top tube when I pedal, so I can't use them, otherwise I get horrific tendonitis. Anyway, there's an interesting segue for you, but going back to this, so
it's fully loaded, this bike, isn't it? I
mean Norway to Greece,
any space.
It's like, of all the bike packing trips, that's the one where you need to be fully loaded.
I put my stuff in the following car.
This, I like it. I'm not going to lie. Anyway, we're digressing. For podcast listeners, so what we're looking at here is your typical giant saddlebag for bike packing, complete with flip-flops attached to the side. But yeah, so instead of it being attached to the seat post and then underneath the saddle, the lower clasp goes round the top of the seat tube underneath the top tube. And it looks genius. It looks like why have we not thought about this before kind of
look good.
Genius.
I'm saying hack.
I'm saying hack. I think that's amazing. You're sure it's not wobbly? I'm trying to zoom in, Dan. I can't. How is that not wobbly?
Do you want to get back to us in a minute whilst I
don't think I'm going to get my answer because it looks like there's some quite serious strappage going on. But yeah, that to my mind feels like it's going to sway. But if he says not, then...
you calling Ben a liar?
No, I'm just saying I cannot comprehend. I maybe need like video evidence, please,
okay.
Ben.
We were asking quite a lot of our submissions this week, aren't we?
I suspect he's got quite a lot of time in his hands. If he's already watched the information or last week's show, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're riding from Norway to Greece, that's quite a lot of leisure time.
Right, so that's a hack from both of us as well, although Si might be reserving judgment until he sees a video.
Yeah, well, I'll just be interested, Dan, that's all, but yeah.
Last one comes in from Dan at Vintage Velos.
Hey,
Connor's,
Dan!
more baguette stuff. is the title. Following Connor's love of a baguette on a bike, check out the picnic basket on my vintage Velo de Ville at last weekend's NEU Velo Vintage Festival.
That is a very... I tell you what, Dan, you'd be impressed with that as well. It's not just a baguette stuck to the side of his bike, but a nice bottle of plonk as well.
Well, it's white wine. How long is that going to stay cold in current climate?
Well, that is a good point. I mean, even red would be undrinkable, Dan, if you strapped it to the side of your panny rack. I think that's very cool. Lovely patina on your bag there. That's very cool.
It does look like a very classy bag and saddle, and setup in general, I would say, so I'll give that a hack as well.
Yeah, for viewers out there, Dan is probably more familiar to you as a supplier of some of our best retro bikes that we've been lucky enough to ride over the years. So yeah, thank you very much to Dan for that and the hack submission.
Thank you very much. Well, we've successfully moved away from political issues, I think, by this point, Si.
Yeah, we have.
Don't forget, you can get involved in this part of the show. All you need to do is go to globalcyclingnetwork.com/uploader, where you can upload your own hacks and bodges or any you've seen out and about.
I suspect temperature of wine might be one of those subjects that some people can debate quite extensively in the comments.
I'm sure it is.
It's time now for Caption Competition, that part of the show where you get a chance to get your hands on a coveted GCN Camelback water bottle. All you got to do is put a witty caption in the comment section down below. We'll pick a winner next week. And we'll start, as always, with revealing the winner from last week.
This was your photo for last week. Remco Evenepoel at the Belgian National Championships with his hand on somebody's lens as they take a picture. Our winner this week is Shellywell. Caption, from the Pro Peloton, welcome to the GCN Show.
Nice, simple, funny.
Imagine he did that intro for us.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
That'd be great, yeah.
Well, Remco, seeing as you're watching, just you've got a bit of time in your hands as well this month.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait until he's in a slightly better mood. He wasn't too happy after stage 1, was he?
No, but he was a bit better after stage 2, wasn't he?
That is true. That is true.
Yeah, okay. Right then, this week's photo is this one. Dan, what have we got here?
Well, let's describe it. So this is Tadej Pogačar at the start of stage 3, where he's in the polka dot jersey. Lots of other polka dots. So yes, I will get you started. Despite multiple requests, Pogačar is not prepared to reveal his poker face.
Hey, that is good.
Thanks, mate.
That is very,
I was quite happy
good.
with that one.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. You know what, right? Like, I know the polka dot jersey is a coveted classification, but you do look like an absolute plonker, don't you? Particularly with the polka dot shorts.
He did say in his press conference that even though he's won the polka dot jersey outright on 2 occasions, he's only ever spent 1 day in it before, or maybe none. I can't remember now, because obviously he's normally in the yellow jersey at the same time.
Yeah, there is no way of making that look cool, is there? Let's put it that way.
No, I think you're probably right.
No.
Just before we let you know what's coming up on the channel this week, we're going to read out a few of our favourite comments from last week. And just before we do that, we're going to promote our own GCN shop, aren't we?
We are.
Si and I are sporting some rather fetching new T-shirt designs today, and this one is proving particularly popular, I understand. It's what we wore last week, wasn't it?
That's what you wore last week.
GCN Racing preview show for the Tour de France. So thank you to all of you who've supported us with a purchase. And if you'd like to make one, there should be a QR code on the screen now that will take you directly to that page.
Yep, shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com. Right then, comments time, Dan.
Right, we're going to dive into this, are we?
Well, yeah,
Underneath last week's show.
The first one, we've had to pull out one Lance Armstrong comment, haven't we? David Hyman says the problem with Lance Armstrong having any presence in pro cycling in any capacity isn't that he was a doper. Almost everyone who did well in his era was. The problem is that he used his position of power to bully others into silence and possibly doping and ruined other people's careers. He never sincerely apologised for any of it. Yeah, there were a few comments like that, weren't there?
There are a few comments like that, and then there's always a few comments defending him, etc. as well. So it's a difficult subject to tackle. I mean, you don't want to bring Lance's name up, really, because you're going to get some comments criticising you, whatever you say.
Yes.
But we'll carry on doing it, regardless.
Well, I mean, you can't ignore his influence, Dan,
No,
can you?
totally.
So the conversation will be ongoing.
Crob BW, would you say that is? Yes, please. More options are better. This is about the tech, of course. If Si doesn't need that, he doesn't have to have it, but bikes need to evolve in all directions.
I mean, that's certainly true that if you don't want it, you don't have to have it. But wheel size, you try talking to a mountain biker who likes 26-inch wheels. Not many around these days. You kind of have to have it. So anyway, but yeah, whatevs. Knock yourself out on your 32-inch wheels if you want them. The Stanley Riesel says, oh, here we go. 32-inch wheels, you have to buy a new bike because no frames fit those wheels. Yet another con by the industry, he says. Crikey. It's another controversy theory going on, isn't it?
Well, how long are we talking about? 10 years, aren't we?
Yeah.
The debate will rumble on, I'm sure.
Better get used to it.
Cherokee 140 driver. Let's just get over it. Get it over with, should I say. 36-inch wheels and 155mm cranks. Done and dusted. Good point.
Yeah, there we go. And then Cabon McCabe said, it always makes me laugh when Si says something to note for your diary. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because you know that my diary is... It's a fairly poor excuse for a diary. But then he also said, did I get a perm? No, I haven't got a perm.
Are you going to get a perm and a mullet?
I don't think I need a perm. My hair is naturally curly, Dan. And if I got a mullet, it would naturally sort of perm itself, basically.
Very good.
Yeah.
Underneath weird things you didn't know about the Tour de France, MN Bicycle Commuter put, so great to hear Marianne Martin's accomplishment mentioned. I'm the guy in the States at group rides. When someone says Greg LeMond was the first American to win the Tour de France, I'm a huge fan of LeMond, but I always point out Marianne Martin as the first American. I get blank stares. Her story isn't known to most American riders.
Yeah. It's cool, isn't it? And then Ian23 said, Connor proving that math, statistics and interpretations of charts is not his strong point. No, it's definitely not his strong point. Not really.
Meanwhile, under Sunday's video, which was me blackmailed into the longest ride of my life, Kim Brink 8257, isn't it amazing how doing one positive thing for yourself snowballs into something magnificent that you'll look back on for years? Reclaiming your health to getting on the bike more regularly to well-intentioned blackmail to a gravel B race leading to the world champs, all before the main events, all the while helping an incredible cause and inspiring others. Chapeau, Dan. Well, thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, I actually spent a long time looking through all those comments, Dan, under that video, and I couldn't find a bad one, which I was a bit annoyed with.
Oh, I think there were a couple.
Well,
I'll pull them out for you later.
I put one up and it then got deleted, so I assume that was you. Rick Passley was one of a lot of people who said, as someone with an autistic young adult in my life, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate this video and the knowledge it's bringing to your audience. Thank you for your efforts on the bike and in this video on behalf of the autistic community. You're a bright spot in the world, Mr. Lloyd, not just because of your T-shirt.
Matt Acton Varian said, I can't work out what was more brutal, the ride itself or the roasting from the commentators and messages of support that you got me. So well done, Dan. Post-ride beer, well deserved. Sorry, mineral water. We should probably point out that we asked them, didn't we, to be fairly critical.
Well, we did, yeah, we did.
I don't want you to think that Fabian Cancellara, Mark Bowman and Robin McEwen are that way inclined.
Yeah. For the record, if you'd asked me, I would have been mean without being asked. But this comment intrigued me, Dan. Dr. MitoFit said, ultra-long rides are how you maximise intracellular free radical damage. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know, I was just about to ask you the same thing. I'd imagine a bad thing.
Well, yeah, there you go. I mean, are you feeling all right, or do you feel like you have maximised your intracellular free radical damage?
I probably have, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I should probably back off, I think, now for a few more years.
Probably, yeah. It's time to go back into hibernation
You know
again.
what we should do in 5 years? How fit can I get in 10 weeks?
That'd be a good idea, wouldn't it?
Yeah, great.
And then I put this comment in that's not actually from that video, but it's one I like very much. B. Vergara said, my wife says Dan looks like if Hugh Jackman stopped creatine and went on a Ozempic.
Yes, that also made me chuckle a little bit.
I love the fact that you are on creatine and have been for 2 years and you still look like...
Well, I mean, this cycling malarkey is cannibalising my muscle gains.
I mean, is it? Have you actually lost weight since you started?
Yeah.
Have you actually?
Yeah, I've gone from like 76.5 to just under 74.
No.
Yeah, I don't want to lose weight.
No, I know.
I know, so it's very annoying. Anyway, what's coming up on this channel this week? Well, tomorrow, Wednesday, we've got a video coming out for you on the GCN Racing channel, which we mentioned earlier. It's your complete guide to echelons. I'll do a bit of a deep dive onto some of the more complicated parts of echelons as well.
Best bit of bike racing as well, isn't it? On Thursday, you were dissecting, along with our international colleagues, how Tour de France riders climb so fast.
Indeed. On Friday, there's new bike launch.
Yeah, over on GCN
Tech, which we can't say any more about at the moment. And on Saturday, Ollie's been doing his challenges again, hasn't he?
He has indeed. This time, Everesting up the Stelvio, which, many of you will know is an absolute monster of a climb.
Yeah, but if you thought that was hard, wait till you hear what's coming on Sunday.
That's right. I think you better introduce it, Dan.
I took a Strava KOM on a Tour de France climb before the race rolled through, and I'm going to show you what happened next, which was a bit ridiculous, really. Anyway, hopefully it'll be entertaining.
It will be entertaining. And next week's GCN show will be on the crazy speeds and power outputs of Daniel Lloyd whilst he's doing a KOM attempt. No, that's going to be good. That I can't wait. Right, I'm pretty sure that's kind of the end of the GCN show this week, isn't it?
Yeah. Story, cycling shorts, hack and bodge, caption. What's coming up?
Lots of waffle. Yeah, we are indeed. Right, just in time to watch the end of the Tour de France stage. See you next week.